Okay guys, we are back with another series of The Process. If you're not familiar with The Process, this is where we pull back the curtain and show you what's behind the hood from every aspect of our agency on a particular project. And so you're going to be hearing not only from me, but from everybody who's involved in the team in creating what it is we do at Butler Branding. And so the client that we're highlighting in this series of The Process is ZABE Mortgage. Now, ZABE Mortgage, they came to me initially in February of 2020. And so we start with the sale, right? Like, how did we actually get this client? How did we land them? And they initially reached out to us through our website, and they found us apparently from search engine optimization. They found us through Google and reached out through our basic general inquiry form and said, hello, we're currently looking to revamp our billboards and we'd like some help with the content and copywriting. So this started as a billboard design and copywriting request, but what the actual scope of work ended up being is complete brand strategy, marketing strategy, and a website redesign, as well as content marketing and billboard design. And so it started out as this initial request for billboard design. Now, they reached out initially in 2020, February of 2020, had a really good conversation. At that time, they were already working with another agency, but they were having some pain points that they were trying to overcome. And so when a client is working with another agency, I really want to figure out why they're leaving. What is it about their current relationship that they're just not happy with? Why are they seeking somebody else? And I always try to put myself in the shoes of the agency that they're currently working with, because they're probably trying their best and doing what they can to make it work, but for whatever reason, they're just not, the client isn't happy and they're looking elsewhere. And so I want to know if we're going to be in that same position. Maybe it's a very difficult client to work with. Maybe it's not the agency, maybe it is the client. And I'm looking for red flags, but I'm really just looking for what is it about this relationship dynamic that just doesn't seem to be working. And so we had a really good conversation, and what started out again was the billboard request. I found out a lot deeper information. And so my general framework for those initial sales calls is I'm asking not 5 different types of questions. So I want to learn about the business, tell me about your company, what do you guys do, just in general terms, just a couple minutes talking about, who they are, what markets they serve. I want to talk about the audience, who's their ideal customer, who are we talking to in our marketing material, what are your goals, what are you guys trying to achieve, what are your challenges? And then what is your timeline? And within timeline, I try to figure out what their budget is. And so I asked all those questions and got a pretty good gauge for who the client was, what they're trying to solve, and by when, and what type of urgency this had, and what their budget was gonna be. And so after that initial sales call, we developed a proposal. We talked about money already in 3 different options, and this resulted in a proposal which I gave them basically 3 options that ranged anywhere from $5,000 to $25,000. And then we went back and forth a couple times in conversation, and then March of 2020 happened, which was COVID. And the pandemic really kind of put things on hold for a lot of companies. There wasn't a lot of changes being made. And just to be honest, we ended up, it was a blessing for us at Butler. We were extremely busy. 2020 was our best year, only because the diversified types of clients we had, we were just really busy during COVID. And so I kind of let this one fall through the cracks, and we didn't revisit them until later on, actually at the beginning of 2021. One of the challenges that I have at Butler is if I have a call with someone who's interested in whatever it is we do, I'm trying to not create proposals. Like, I want to try to create as few proposals as possible and only make them for people who are really interested, meaning we've talked about the process, we've talked about the budget, everything has been laid out on the table, and the client agrees and says we want to move forward. And so then I just create a formalized version of what we've already talked about on the phone. Once I do that, the assumption is that we're going to move to the next step. If a client doesn't move to the next step and we don't go past the proposal phase, I personally don't have a good follow-up sequence to try to revisit those conversations, and that's a pain point that I've had. And so recently we hired Ryan Hansen, who you may have seen on some of our old videos. And he specializes in sales, and he's agreed to come on as our brand ambassador. And his goal is not only to revisit some of these older relationships to see how we can rehash them, but also to take in any kind of inbound sales calls that we have. And so he's helping us with sales. And this was one that we were looking at all of our proposals that were just kind of in the queue that hadn't moved forward. And this was one that I thought we should revisit because there was a lot of potential and synergy there. And so Ryan is the one who actually did the follow-up and got this thing back in our books. So by the time I was reintroduced to ZABE Mortgage, Ryan pretty much already made the deal. It was just a matter of figuring out the logistics of what deliverables they were expecting in our first engagement and when we could schedule discovery. And that's the first step of our process, is scheduling a discovery session. And so we determined that we were going to do an initial engagement, a scope of work which included complete comprehensive brand strategy, which they needed to know to identify not only who they were, but how they're different, what their unique selling proposition is, how they can make their brand that's uniquely them. They had information that was coming from corporate, they worked with a corporate company that it was kind of generic material, and they wanted stuff that was unique to them. In fact, here, I'll just pull up the proposal. There was 2 different proposals, actually 3 different rounds of proposals on this that we went through. But the last one we worked on, here's a list of all of the things that they said were pain points for them. So I'm pulling up my notes from our initial phone call, as well as some of the things that we gathered in our subsequent meetings, figuring out what exactly they're trying to accomplish. And so I copied and pasted this basically from our initial notes and then put this in the proposal. And I always revisit this every time we're talking about strategy. So even in the first discovery session and the follow-up, I revisit, these are the goals, this is what we're trying to accomplish. So their first point says that we have good reach and awareness in Madera. They're local to Madera, but they would like to penetrate more into the Fresno market. So it's a neighboring city. They have really good awareness in their own city, but they're moving into another market and they want more awareness in that new market. It says we're part of a larger organization that has branding and marketing content that we can use, but we want something that's uniquely us for our local market. Third point was our website is stale and old, 3 to 5 years. We need a fresh look as well as updated content. The fourth point is we want to improve the user experience of our website, getting users to the content they want in as few steps as possible. The next is they aren't as interested, or we're not as interested in getting more leads as we are properly positioning ourselves for the traffic we're already getting. So this is a client who, they have enough leads coming in, they just want to pre-qualify leads that are coming in as well as communicate the right message to those leads that are coming in. We want to position ourselves as customer-centric, community-based, but also modern and technical. We would like interesting awareness campaigns that communicate this. And what they're looking for in a creative agency partnership is we want access to a higher level strategist who can hear our concerns and customize a plan for us. We're looking for a level of leadership and strategy. And I got this based off of our conversations. They said the other agency that they were working with, it seemed like it was fine during the sales process, and then they felt like they were handed off to lower level employees that were just kind of taking orders after a while, not giving that level of strategy and guidance and leadership that they were looking for in an agency. They said, we're open. And this for us is an ideal type of client. We want clients that completely trust our creative process and embrace our creative ideas, that they're leaning on us for our expertise. So this is really a layup for us. Now, all of those points were not articulated like that from the client. I was able to simplify those points based off of questions that we're asking. And so that's the main point of the sales process, is to really identify what their goals are, what their situation is, how you can help them, so and then articulate it in your own words in such a way that they're like, yes, that's exactly what we're trying to say, but you've been able to say it for us. And so that's what the scope of work was, and we gave them a list of deliverables that we could do. So for this scope of work, it includes a discovery session, a comprehensive strategy document, which includes design strategy, messaging, and brand copy, a marketing strategy, and a website user experience strategy. So the discovery session would result in a comprehensive strategy. That's part of the scope. The next part of the scope was billboard design. We agreed to do up to 2 to 4 billboard designs and concepts, and then website redesign. And so those are the 4 aspects: discovery, strategy, billboard design, and website design and development. And we're actually right now in the middle of this initial engagement. Guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Please like and subscribe. Make sure this content gets out to more people. And if you are a creative entrepreneur and you're looking to level up, maybe you feel stuck, learn from my mistakes. At agency.butlerbranding.com, we have a free webinar that talks about everything I've learned in scaling Butler Branding since we started in 2012. I'm talking about everything I've learned from brand positioning, marketing, sales, strategy, and project management. So learn to level up for free at agency.butlerbranding.com.